haven't been on Fortnite in like a couple of days, or if not, a few weeks. Um, Guys, it's under Hulk. I don't know what I'm gonna do later on, but one thing I do know, I don't know. I've been trying to watch TV. This, that, and the third. I think it's cool. Legends of the Legendary. Who in the world is this? Aquaray. I know it's a video game. Oh my god, Destiny. My god. Legends of the Late Championship. I done basically bought the battle pass. Basically, we'll get that started and done out the way. I'll get all my money back. Essentially, earning back some. I want to go see Creed today. I think it was alright, that's what I think. How do I feel about the movies? Honestly, I think the movies and certain stuff like that has gotten to a point where it's maybe not a bargain as it once was to a certain extent. Like a lot of movies is bad. Is Creed 3 bad? I wouldn't say it's bad. The one film I would tell you not to go see is Missing, the new Neil Long film, garbage. And speaking of the economy, honestly speaking, truly, it doesn't make that much sense anytime you step out the house or certain stuff like you spending $60 to $70 to support yourself. Not support yourself, but like in order to do simple stuff like a task. $60 to $70. Almost done. But yeah, $60 to $70. You're either getting hit at the gas tank, $60 to $70, the movie, $60 to $70, and then eating. Got to eat 60 between a good $60 to $70. Like, to me, how I feel about certain stuff, yeah, the money, like, the world revolves around money in a sense. It really does, but in the grand scheme of things, like, I really don't know if a lot of things, honestly, like, can go on like that. $60 to $70. I know people are talking about jobs, remote work. A lot of companies are trying to get people to go back in, and they're trying to end that. To me, certain jobs you should be able to work from home. We'll go ahead and just get a game, man. I'll be guys before you long. But yeah, $60 to $70. Just to go and do that type of stuff. Two, in a sense, I know a lot of stuff like, for instance, construction jobs. People say that's, good living. I really don't think that a lot of stuff is necessarily good living in a sense, because you think about it, you gotta wear steel toe boots. You gotta definitely wear a hard hat. You gotta do all that stuff, but the chances of increased risk or just rate of death is pretty high. You know what I'm saying? But jobs like construction jobs, harnessing, electricity, the people going in the power box, people can basically get fried and shocked up there. That's just not for everybody. And the way I think about certain stuff, this is not, someone got to do it, but again, that's just not, in my opinion, this is not really that good. I've still been watching videos on people who are living off of a certain amount of money and they're like poor or there's something. Like, if someone had to ask me what I think about, for instance, like work, like a minimum wage job, like, $15 an hour seems cool in theory, but like, if you think about it, this goes to, corporations, yes, a job, but like, I don't know. Like, within 5 years or something like that, I know people talk about, corporate structure, this, that, and the third. Just structure, like, you going through the ranks. Like, let's say someone working at McDonald's, someone become a manager or something like that, probably getting like 60,000 maybe. Someone got to do it. Me personally, I don't think that's necessarily a. I don't know. I wouldn't be content with that. Part of that reason is not because of salary. I just don't like McDonald's. Someone be like, do I like anything? Yeah. I like a lot of things. But yeah. Honestly speaking, a lot of stuff I'm just not impressed by. And that has nothing to do necessarily with the money. Like, even the amount of money, the more expensive something is, does not mean that that's necessarily a good thing. Person's bad. You allowed me to reload. But like, yeah. That's what I'm saying, like, a job in a sense, people can go bankrupt for a number of reasons. Granted, something goes wrong, a health thing, and I don't know what he thought he was doing with that. But like, yeah. You can go bankrupt for a number of reasons. Like, I was watching this guy, he did jewelry thing. Black dude, I like a story, this, that, and the third. He's like from the Midwest or whatnot, and his mom got sick and he basically paid for his mom stuff. He had his own barber shop and, you know, he could cut hair. He was like selling jewelry or like little like watches in a sense. You could change out the bezel, certain stuff like that. I don't know which watch it is or what it was, but he would sell that. He would sell like sterling silver plated jewelry or something like that. Gold plated, do it like that. And he was making like, you know, with his side hustle, he had multiple stuff. He had multiple businesses. He was making $50,000 a month off of you know, his barbershop. Managing that, his mom got sick and he paid for her treatments. Basically, went there, went her to the hospital, paid for the treatments, keep on top of that, and you know, he wound up basically losing everything in a sense, and he had to go. He was basically homeless for a while. Because he had 50,000 and his stuff, his barbershops and stuff got broken into. People were selling drugs out of it, like the barbers and stuff. He had some shady businesses going up in there. And he basically lost everything and then he got it back in a sense. And he went from there. I thought it was very interesting. He had like a whole lot. The story was all split up and different. I like his personality or whatnot. He didn't like the drug dealing. He was a very clean cut dude. And this, that, and the third. He stood on the principles of you know, just being honest and fair from the get go. What the ham sandwich? I couldn't even jump up, but like, yeah, he said that his business affairs and certain stuff like that There's way too much going on. Honestly, I don't know how I had 6 kills, so I get back to the story, yeah. But the guy was making, like, 50,000. His mom got sick. He tried to do this stuff. Basically shut his barbershop down. He's basically got on a bus. He basically exhausted all his funds being out, hotels, paying for his mom's treatment, this, that, and the third. $60,000 a month from his barbershop. He had multiple stuff. He sold shoes, watches, this, that, and the third, little, I would say probably like $200 watches and whatnot. And went from there. I had multiple revenue streams, but like once you start having that, living expenses, your hotels, this, that, and the third, medical treatments, his mom's cancer, he went broke. And basically after his mom got sick or passed and stuff like that, pretty much had no place to go in a sense. Like his store was all throughout. Like he had good parts of it, and he had bad parts of it, obviously. But yeah. I'll try to link to the video in the description to the stream so you can see what I'm talking about. The dude's thing was like 2 hours, so I might have mind listening, take little notes. This, that, and the third. I could agree with some stuff he said, but some of the stuff he said was kind of maybe a little bit of a stretch with some of the stuff. But he seemed like he knew the business side of certain stuff. Like he met this Jewish man who he was opening up a plaza and for like jewelers and certain stuff like that. And it cost the man like $130 to $150 million to open up this big space where all jewelers and certain stuff like that to go in this particular spot. And what I thought about that, I found that very interesting. But the property may easily be like $150 million to construct, but they're gonna make that over a period of honestly speaking, they might make that within a certain time frame. Like when I'll give you a prime example. When all these little arenas go up, nothing wrong. Like let's say for instance the Orlando Magic, they had a perfectly functional building that they basically constructed, basically paid top dollar, and then within 3 years later they weren't even using that. So that was a waste of money. And then the city, that was just stupid in my opinion. I'm not even from Orlando. But that's right after Dwight Howard basically got on out of there. But that's another story for another day. But yeah. And people spend money like that, they're gonna make that over the course of, maybe a few things. Like if someone stole something from the mall, they'll get banned. Like they'll have pictures of they get banned, and then there's some type of they still weren't underwriting the certain stuff. Like there's a security contract. They take the people's fake pictures, the fingerprints, pretty much get everything. But that's besides the point. He was exposed to different side of business. Like, you know, honestly speaking, I don't think that malls or strip malls and stuff are a great investment. Like, real estate, in a sense, is not always going to be the best investment. Like, pure land, yeah, that's an investment. But the thing like a mall could be liquidated. So many people don't want to like really want to deal with that anymore. There might be a private equity group that might like try to buy up mall for pennies on the dollar pretty much, but for the most part malls and stuff are losing income. I don't think it has to do with particularly Amazon. I think people are tired of like, you know, the particular stuff with malls, rush hour. But the malls where I'm at, they, you know, they are not necessarily they're normally busy. Sometimes it's not really that busy, just depends on which day of the week you catch people. But honestly speaking, I don't necessarily dislike the mall. I think the mall is the mall, but there's so many businesses and so many stuff where if you don't price shop people, or you know, you really get scammed. And it says I know people have to make money, this, that, and the third, but like some items and certain stuff like that, I think with business, and depending on what type of business it is, people are hoping to break even. It's not necessarily about profit. I mean, it is, but some stuff, you know, it's automatically going to be a loss. I think sometimes jewelers, in a certain sense, sometimes they buy stuff and they pass it off on to people, and people they're not like really watching, and they're in a sense they're not necessarily thinking. Like a Rolex or something like that. Someone tries to sell Rolex for like $16,000. They put some diamonds on there. The diamonds are probably okay quality, but it's not worth $16,000. I will honestly probably put the watch what it's worth. They're probably making $6,000 off people a majority of the time. Maybe a good $6,000. Because people have to go and set the diamonds and certain stuff. I don't like watches with diamonds in it. I just don't. That doesn't really make that much sense to me. That's just me. This is annoying. Call me playboy. It is what it is. But back to what I'm saying, like, money to me is a concept. Like, a lot of stuff, in my opinion, is overvalued. It doesn't necessarily matter what it is. Like a mall. A mall is not necessarily what it is. Maybe a few years past, early 2000s, people need a mall. People need a place to shop. Honestly speaking, when I think about, like, malls and businesses, this, that, and the third, I've been watching people say that, reinvest back in the business. I would agree to disagree in a sense. Certain stuff, yeah, you should put it back in the business, but you still have to live. But long as your business, as your living expense, your lifestyle is not overinflated, and you know how to run business. You're not trying to tax stuff off on a business expense like a card. Like, that's like someone going, in a sense, starting a business and it's bringing in, like, let's say $300,000, and you go and buy let's just say hypothetically, someone goes out there and buys like a new BMW, let's say X5 or something like that. That car is like, $50,000, $60,000. That's not necessarily an asset. If someone tries to say that, by having that type of car, that makes them a boss, the only person who's a boss off that is the people who sold it. BMW X5. Let's see. I've seen this stuff go for 88, between 60 and 88. A car is not a good investment at all. A lot of stuff is not a good investment if you really think about it. Like, you can't use a car and then count that as, like, like a luxury car rental business. I really don't think that's necessarily, I mean, it can be good and it can be bad. But you have to have a fleet of cars, and then you have to find an insurance company who's willing to underwrite some of them costs. Like, if someone has a luxury car rental business and they're based out in Los Angeles or something like that, and they have all the big boy, all these toys, Koenigsegg's, Hennessy, the automotive company, Pagani, Roadster, those cars are easily between $2 and $10 million. So the average thing, someone's not gonna be able to necessarily pay that off. I don't even know if an insurance company would be willing to write that stuff off, because I feel like that's just kind of an overinflated price. Pagani, the story of Pagani goes like this. Pagani was building cars. He's an Argentinian Italian businessman, engineer. He was building cars and certain stuff like that out in Argentina. Built his first car, lived out like in the farmland, this, that, and the third. He built a car. Then building cars. He worked for Lamborghini, this, that, and the third. That didn't work out. He would come up with ideas, this, that, and the third. Really wasn't listened to. That was put on back burner. Worked for a few more places, didn't work out. Then he had enough of it, and then he went and started his own thing. And so far, it's worked out, but honestly speaking, Pagani doesn't have necessarily a big name an automotive thing like that, because you think about it, in California, everything is in California, if we're being completely honest. I think the only like supercar I would ever possibly get if I had the money and certain stuff like that, I'll probably just get a Ferrari. I'll just get a Ferrari, and I just have like a regular old. I have utility vehicles. I'll probably have a Chevy or something like that. Probably have a Chevy. Someone talking about a Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce is cool, but it's not worth no 600, 700,000. That's not me hating on it, but I'm talking about Ferrari. I mean, Ferrari is Ferrari, and then all these other car companies, that's what they are. You don't really necessarily have to do advertising. I was also watching a man talk about business, how business has been in terms of cars and car dealerships. Honestly speaking, I don't think that car dealerships, it just depends. I watch like a lot of people on YouTube. Like I watch Snooge, I watch a lot of other people. I watched this Sikh man on I forgot his name. Cool dude. But yeah, honestly speaking, I think every business is going to have its problems. Like, you know, accounting. Accounting necessarily is not necessarily an issue for some of these top brands, but I think a lot of stuff is overvalued. Like someone was telling on a YouTube video how Gucci and these places are making wallets and stuff for $95 and then going to sell for $1,500. And now someone could be making the same thing again from the same place for like, you know, selling it for like $200 or $300. Let's say $300. And someone would pass up the $300 thing. Same exact person from the same manufacturer. The only thing that Gucci does is protected by trademark. The logo and the name, the brand, this, that, and the third. I'm not hating on Gucci. I just don't like Gucci at all. I remember a lot of people used to be basically saying, don't go broke trying to look rich. I mean, to me, it's 50-50. One reason I say 50-50, just that and the third, I think a man should have like some decent clothing within a budget range. But like, not go too crazy. Like you can get a good suit for $350. Like every man needs a good suit. But yeah, I think businesses and then people, a lot of people, I think business acumen is something you have to learn as you go to a certain extent. But, I think it takes a certain type of person to have run multiple businesses or, take care of business in order, to make sure everything's going correct. So that's it about the financial, but it is, but like, expected growth is not always accurate because it doesn't tell people about the hiccups. Like, for instance, if someone's doing a fishing, they're in the fishing industry, then people might be unemployed for, they might be employed for a while. And I feel like I know a lot of the reasons why people, they can go broke in a sense. Going broke is kind of easy when you think about it. Well, a lot of stuff I digress because, like, you think about it, like, with business can be good one day, the other day, like, be bad. But I think a lot of stuff's getting hit, and it doesn't have anything to do necessarily with recession. I think it's just, when a tough time. Like, if someone's making, $180,000 and they're living paycheck to paycheck, I think a lot of stuff could be synonymous. I think a lot of stuff can be synonymous with just a lot of stuff. Like, make a lot of money, you got to save a lot of money. But, like, again, if a baseline or something is so expensive, like, rent for some people in certain places, like, $5,000 or, seven, maybe five, between 5 and 7. I met this man, and he said that his daughter was living out in San Francisco or something like that, and it's very expensive. He said California is very expensive. Well, yeah, It is very expensive, and I mean, honestly speaking, I would never live in California. I haven't lost anything out there, but I had to go there soon. But like past that, nah. Either a job or something that's paying, a certain amount of money. I don't really like California. Like that's just it's cool to visit a few days. I'm not necessarily a big fan of big city living. If that makes any sense. Like Miami, all these places, LA. I've been to LA within like the last 2 years. It has nothing necessarily to do with the homelessness. I think that has everything to do with what's going on with just the general sphere, certain stuff like that, like employment. It has to do with the cost of living. Um, Especially like if you go out to a place and you work for a company and you get sent out to some place. Sometimes that's that's a nail in the coffin, man. Just a nail in the coffin. Where the cost of living is high, you don't have the next game plan. And then, like, your cost of living, is dependent on one thing. You can't do that no more. Or you work in an industry with a job, but certain stuff ain't gonna come back. And the turnover is high. You pretty much screwed. You don't got no game plan. You burn through your savings fast. You start maxing out credit cards. This, that, and the third. I mean, it can happen to anybody, really, if you really think about it. But, yeah, I think the allure of a lot of stuff just doesn't really seem that good in retrospect because you think about it. One little bad little thing, sickness or something goes wrong, lose a job, you can't work for months, or this, that, and the third, you're pretty much going to have a hard time. And you don't have no side hustles, like legit stuff that you can do on the side. Yeah, like construction job, nah. Like I said, if you get injured on one of them jobs, I'm dead. I'm dead. I'll play a few more. I'll get my fingers crossed. But like, yeah, you go out to a place and you work or something like that, and your money is over. I say a good portion of it is going towards living expenses. You have to live. You have to eat. You have to do this, that, and the third, and you have no game plan. Your savings, you can exhaust your savings quick. Then you think about a car. Like if someone, they may have got a promotion or certain stuff like that. What the hell is that dude just used? I don't know what that dude just used, but that looked crazy. But yeah, I think also too another reason why I never live in California is just that it's just not my type of thing. Like I think before long, if we're being too honest, maybe the cities and places that are population dense, it's not necessarily a good thing. The more dense a place is and not spaced out, I feel like crime is there. It's most definitely the crime, but like also what I'm thinking, anybody to a certain extent, like I said, anybody can have anything and they could be back down to square zero. That's just facts. You know, they're broke. Like, California may have like a lot of stuff going on in a traditional sense. You know, you can do business in California, this, that, and the third, but I was reading something that California loses like, between 500 and 600,000 people a year moving. And someone probably like, what's the reason for that? I would say it's the high cost of living, crime. I would say, let's think about it. A lot of these companies are moves, definitely rent, the quality of living, air quality. There's a lot of stuff goes in back with that. Like, there's obviously people in California living like, with less than probably like, I'll probably say $20,000 living in California, but like you think about that, someone might be in Section 8 housing, and then you think about gang violence or all this type of stuff going on in California. I say California is where pretty much everything started gang wise in a sense. How do I feel about gangs? Gangs and stuff is bad. Gang activity, this, that, and the third. Honestly speaking, there's a lot of places that are particularly bad. It don't necessarily have to be LA. New York's bad too. But I think the West Coast and stuff, that's where everything started. They're not playing. That stuff is really real out there, the gang banging, this, that, and the third. The thing I can say, like, you have to be, street smart, and you have to be, really vigilant, be aware of your surroundings, pretty much anywhere. This, that, and the third. Because, like, there's a lot of places too, this even going out, poorly lit areas, this, that, and the third, unemployment, there's a lot of stuff going on too. People can't live, and people can't eat this, that, and the third. And then you think about money. But yeah, I was telling my friend the other day, there's like 5 places I would never live in. I say California, Texas, let's see, I can go off a list. California, Miami, Chicago, New York, probably Texas too. Those are 5 places I would never live at or move. I pretty much have no reason to go to, really, those places really that much for anything. I think, there's obviously pros and cons to every place. This day and age, you're talking about working, this, that, and the third. I think working in a sense gives you a baseline of stuff that you need. You need to be able to support yourself. But honestly speaking, a lot of stuff is costing people time, money, and peace of mind. If we really think about it, like, if all those 3 things are, taking place, this, that, and the third, like, there'll be people really banking on, like, certain stuff, and it doesn't necessarily work out. Like, let's say someone is working in a particular role. I watched this lady talk about something now. She was black at her place, and she had worked there for like 3 years. She had trained somebody for like, been on this person's wing for like 3 years or whatnot. She's only getting paid like $58,000. And lo and behold, the person vacated that space, and she thought she was the next candidate in line for that. The person she wound up training wound up getting that job, and she felt disrespected. You should put all that time and energy into that whole thing, and she wound up leaving the company, and her side hustle brought in more money than that job ever did. But this and the third. Now she got peace of mind. She love what she do. This, that, and the third. But honestly speaking, sometimes people can't see the handwriting on the wall in a sense. In these jobs. I know businesses and places, they have to cut people. They have to do this, that, and the third for a financial standpoint. Anything with tech ain't good. Anything that a lot of people do, they don't have their own little flair, a little touch of it. It's not good for the market. I died because I ran out of ammo. Almost had him. I'll play a few more. I'm gonna get to my points. Like, yeah, I think a lot of companies, and then, like, you know, tech. Let's see, the place get a lot of layoffs. I would say tech. You know, anything in the service industry. High turnover. You know, flights. To me, the airline industry has kind of gotten a little bit terrible. Food industry terrible. You know, they're always gonna be looking for the next few people to come in there. This, that, and the third. But honestly speaking, I don't really think that a lot of businesses and certain stuff like that, I think about the pandemic, caused a lot of places to go under. I think it was the pandemic, but also I think it's the direction of just the state of affairs. Printing money. They needed people to work, people not treating people with respect, people not doing this, that, and the third. You know, people were drained from, you know, the long hours, picking up slack, this, that, and the third. Really going from there. And then, like, you know, when some people leave from these companies, they're not getting paid what they're worth, this, that, and the third. Like, people could be doing the work of 3 people in a traditional sense, and they're only getting paid, you know, marginally a few dollars more. But the biggest line of what they're doing, like I was reading a story about this guy had worked from this person for like a period of like, you know, 10 years or whatnot. He, in the spirit of this person, 10 years, the person went on like a nationwide search for this position, this, that, and the third. The person was like a vet. He really didn't want to come out there necessarily work. I mean, he was straight, but he was trying to line his like retirement and planning stuff out to a certain extent. And he left after like a year because he said he was disrespected, this, that, and the third. And he was doing the work of 3 people. And he said he basically training, doing everything for a person, this, that, and the third, training other people, doing the work of 3 people, and now the person basically undercut him in a sense, and went on another nationwide search. He couldn't find anybody and was begging the dude to come back. That ain't happening. That's hilarious. But I feel like a lot of stuff really goes to show you that, like, you know, we got your time, in a sense, wasted, and then respected. Respect to me, sometimes it's not necessarily a two-way street. You got to be able to identify that. And know people say it takes respect to give, like, you know, you have to give respect to get respect, or this, that, but sometimes it's not a two-way street. And sometimes you have to be able to identify that and then, you know basically when to walk the situation, assess it, and just be like, this is some bull. Just walk away from it and just laugh about it, really. And when you really think about certain stuff, like, you know, in terms of business, like, you know, people talking about travel nurses and people were making money, or this, that, and the third, you know, people were low on times. And I think a lot of stuff really just thought people were burned out from these professions. Like, I watched this man from London, surgeon. I think I might watch this video after that. He basically was a surgeon in England, and he's been just kind of backpacking his way through Europe right now. He had like a Ferrari, he had this stuff. He hadn't burned through his savings and certain stuff, but he just does little side gigs to pay his stuff off. He wound up selling his cars. He has a good watch collection. But he said he wasted a lot of his time working, you know, with surgery. You have to spend like, you know, 12, 13 hours maybe in an operating room. You would stay up late. You basically sleep during the day and then wake up at night, and you have those brutally long shifts and this, that, and the third. And he left after a while, and he was in school for like, you know, 11 years. This, that, and the third. Didn't like it. But he knew the stuff that they needed for, like, you know, the computer side, and then, like, you know, how can I say, patient information and data and certain stuff. So he started his own program. Compiled all that stuff in compliance with regulatory things with England. This, that, and the third, and submitted it to like a boss of what he did. Then he got hired on for other contracts. This, that, and the third. Did that for a while. He got his awards, his accomplishments, this, that, and the third. He was paid a pretty penny, but he ultimately decided he's basically a consultant. People still paid him every now and again, have him come in there, and went from there. Then he basically said, you know, there's other stuff, like, you know, he works 12 to 13 hours, like, you know, a day that takes, you know, a toll on, you know, relationships or this, that, and third. I got shot. That's just terrible. I'll probably play a few more. I'll probably play like 3 more. But yeah, I honestly think that, you know, business and certain stuff, like, people not gonna, a company is only good as the people that they hire. Like, I know people talk about company training, this, that, and the third. A lot of companies, they spend a lot of money to get people. They're gonna pay people for their time, but they can't pay people for their brain. That's what he said, and that's why he wound up walking, doing a little few consulting jobs here and there. But yeah, but I'll post in the stream. I'll go back and watch it, and I'm gonna give you the link to the black dude who's a jeweler. This, that, and the third. He went from like 60,000 a month, having like, you know, a few barbershops. He was selling shoes. He had his own little sterling silver. This, that, and the third. Like, he would sell somebody like a watch and a little gold-plated jewelry. And he said a $20 haircut went to like $100 after people would start buying this, that, and the third. It went from there. But he basically lost it all because of, like, you know, his mom got sick. He had to pay, you know, hotel fees, you know, treatments, this, that, and the third. I found that interesting, but He said he had to make a difficult decision, to let that go. Just that stuff started getting bad for him. Like people drug dealing in this barbershop, the people he let in charge, like the actual barbers had riff raff going in there. And yeah. He said he had a decent car collection or whatnot, but like, what's the point? He lost everything. I think it's easy for people to lose everything, but then again, you gotta save money for a rainy day. You have to save money for a rainy day. You also have to have backup plans where this doesn't go as expected. What can I do? But he did say he was like, certified and a lot of other stuff, so he was pretty much straight. But he worked for a company. He said it was like some type of it was a bootleg equity group or something like that. It was like a bootleg equity group, and he was there for maybe like 6 months, and then he became homeless after that because he basically moved to this different place, and then it was a commission-based job. His mom was sick, and this, that, and the third. He had to keep on leaving and to go over there to take care of the treatment, and then the time and certain stuff like that. And then he said the people didn't care about his mom getting sick, and he basically had the people on the phone talk to the doctor saying this, that, and the third. And he basically, how can I put it this way? He basically said they had ammunition, but he said it was just some bull. But he said that wound up being a blessing in disguise too. So he lost everything and built it back up like 3 times, but just certain stuff just started to come back up. The honest, I think it's easy for certain stuff to go sideways. I think it's very easy for something to go sideways. You definitely have to save money for a rainy day. You have to know the market for certain stuff, and if there's even a market at all. Like a car, there's not necessarily a good market for cars, in my opinion. Because some cars, you have to wait. You think about the payments for cars, certain cars, I would never pay $60,000 in a car. It's just not a good idea. Personally, someone says $60,000 for a watch. That's not necessarily a good idea either. If you can buy something cheap and sell something for like $300 profit and keep on doing that, I think you're good to a certain extent. But you have to know the make, condition, and everything. It's not necessarily with watches. It just has to apply to the principle of anything. Like if someone, like people talking about these shoe reselling business, to me, everything is not a business. Everything can't be no business idea. Because a lot of stuff to me just came and went, everybody trying to sell these people these courses, this, that, and the third. That's a fad. Who's paying someone $50,000 or $25,000 for some one-on-one coaching to sell some shoes or something like that? No one's doing that. Nobody in their right mind is doing that. I think a lot of times, too, when you think about certain stuff, a lot of people playing on people's stupidity for certain stuff like that. And to me, that works out like a charm. Because once you start to play like someone like that, that's stupid, you got 1 or 2 choices. And I think the best choice is just go along with it. And you see what real idiot is at the end of the day. Like to me, I know something that's not expensive as people say, like, if someone says, like, for instance, that old, let's see, an old make or something. I remember this guy here said something about, like, a 1996 Chevy was like $30,000. Ain't nobody paying no $30,000 for that. There's nothing special. Wow, we both killed each other at the same time. That's crazy. I've never really had that happen like that. I'll put three more because that was a bull. But yeah, there's no way that no 1996 Chevy Suburban is gonna be no $30,000. I'm looking at the price right now. That junk is probably like 18, if that. No, it's not even 18. The junk is cheap. I think he was talking about one of them, yeah. I was correct, but, because I see one right here, like, it had a lot of miles. But yeah, it ain't worth no, like, $35,000. That's just, that don't make any sense. Because I checked the, Kelly Blue Book values. I'm like, there's just no way that car would be worth that. Like, that's just, it don't make any sense. The way I think of how money works, I think money, like again, I said money is a concept. Like, if you don't know the market or something and you think by paying more money, in a sense, or something, you don't understand just the concept of something, you're not able, to me, some stuff you're gonna may take a loss to a certain extent, like real estate. Some people may easily take a loss, like T-Pain. He bought homes and certain stuff at the height of his career. He had like 40 million, and then he bought all these different properties and basically went broke. I watched that whole document, that whole little segment. And then Mark Cuban bought this man's home that was worth originally 25 million. And the man wound up getting his home foreclosed on. That don't make any sense. I just got shot in the back. I didn't even see that dude. From 25 million, he bought the next following day to 12 million. The value of that house basically collapsed because of the recession, and then the guy, he didn't have all the cash on hand. He had built it, state of the art, and Mark Cuban bought it for $12 million. A lot of the bands whose home got foreclosed on was based in the stock market, and he never sold stuff at the peak of what it was worth. So he wound up taking the L. I think cash is king. I can't 100% say that, because cash is losing the value of stuff each day. But I think cash is king, though. Like, if someone had to ask me what I think about, for instance, certain things, like if someone's making $480,000 a year, I think that's very good. I hope they got a will and certain stuff set up, this, that, and the third, take care of their, affairs in a sense. This, that, and the third, because that's very important. And then two, if you think about, just money in a sense, a lot of things can happen, like, when people are working a job or they, I'll leave this one. I'll play 3 more games because stuff that happened with Bull. I don't like that spot where the thing was landing, but yeah. If you think about all these places, like taxes and certain stuff is going up, people's rent and certain stuff is going up, but people's income hasn't gone up. People are dependent on one source of income and not any side hustles or anything they might know to use it to their advantage. And then by having that one thing and then basically putting the eggs in one basket, something, God forbid, something unexpected come up, they're screwed. They're literally screwed. Like, someone's like a, senior software engineer in the Bay Area making $200K, got a wife and like 2 kids, this and the third. The rent is like, $7,000. What about insurance, their car, this, that, and the third. Got $7,000 a month or whatnot. That's $84,000. That would include taxes, utilities, this, that, and the third. So you really think about it, you're working that hard for your money in a sense, and before you know, you get your legs take up pretty much from under you. You're pretty much gonna be screwed. And imagine you have student loans. Someone could easily go to a different company, but I think most software and tech companies, financial tech, those jobs are going to be gone for a while. And all this expected growth, really, and growth is just trying to account for it, be ahead of the curve. Too much of anything is not good for the market. I pretty much will stay that, like, and basically stay and keep the same opinion. Too much of anything is not it's not good for the market. Like, you have so many engineers. Obviously, there's certain tiers of engineers out there. You get paid a high amount of money because it's a particular high Wow, I got shot that quick. I'll play 3 more because that doesn't make any sense in my opinion. That did not make that much sense in my opinion. I got killed that quick. But yeah, honestly speaking, working smarter, not harder, is a thing. That is most definitely a thing too. Like my sister me was talking about, just certain stuff, like how someone could create like little small, little tiny cakes or something as crazy as that be making $1 million. That's hilarious. They got all these sponsored brand deals, but even that, I don't think that's necessarily secure too. If people are spending a lot of money, that's not sustainable. Like if someone's going to like Tulum or the Maldives or all that type of stuff, those trips would easily, possibly, probably like 30K minimum. If you think about excursions, the flights, getting stuff set up, you gotta do that months in advance. But let me see how much a trip to Maldives would cost, like an actual plane ticket. I think it'd probably be like a good 3,000 or 5,000. There's no way. Round trip. And you think about hotel, and then you have multiple people going, yeah, that's how you go broke. I would say probably 25,000 bare minimum. Then you gotta think about luggage. Then you gotta think about like food and food prices, and then like excursions or this, that, and the third. But yeah. I think a lot of stuff, in my opinion, I definitely watch like a whole lot of like stories about people whose income really hasn't changed that much or whatnot. They work and they're basically getting priced out of the area or whatnot. I watched two dudes that live in like England or something like that, and their rent went from like $2,100 to $2,600. That's annoying. I'll play 3 more because that, again, I don't like landing. I'll leave like a lot of games because stuff like that. But yeah, from $2,100 to $2,600, extra $500 to food has gotten too high. They have to get insurance. They have to do all this type of stuff. And yeah. I'm still thinking about people who bought stuff at the peak of a market and they're shooting themselves in the foot for pulling the trigger on buying something but it was just way too high. Like, I know someone was talking about how, like, a Lamborghini SVJ Roadster was like $1 million, and I think it's like $1,300,000. People say that car is a great investment. I don't think so. Or people buy a Rolls Royce or something like that, and that's an investment. Nah, I don't really think that's an investment at all. $600,000. And everything has tax on it. So when you buy a car, you have to pay taxes. And then you still have to continuously pay taxes on that. You have to pay property tax on your vehicles. You have to pay property tax on your home. Sell a home, capital gains tax. You have to pay taxes on everything. Food, utilities tax, There's a lot of stuff you have to pay tax on. You get like a federal government tax on like your cell phone, telecommunications. There's a lot of stuff really don't make no sense to me in a traditional sense because I just see a lot of stuff is just, it's not necessarily mind boggling. It just doesn't make any sense. The premise of it. I don't know, people talking about the minimum wage needs to be $15. I would agree to a certain extent that it needs to be $15. $15 really isn't that much money in retrospect. $15 is probably $31,200 a year. I could be wrong, but I think I'm around the ballpark. That's before taxes. Let me search that up real quick. I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Yep, I was correct. $31,200. That's not that much money. Yeah, see, this is why I can't deal with this game. So $15 an hour, 31,200. Let's say someone has a child. Let's say someone has a rent that's like $1,500. They have no type of prospect in terms of like, you know, I guess really they've been working odd jobs. It's at $31,200. That's not necessarily good. But yeah, I think before long, a lot of people want to start waking up. In a sense, like, I think a lot of stuff, you know, how people make money in a sense. It don't have to be anything crazy. Like if someone likes juice or something like that, or they like a particular brand, they can get paid for that. They have to say it's a paid sponsorship though. For a company review, you know, who knows? Or people do food review. Honestly speaking, I don't think food review is necessarily. I like watching people's food reviews, but again, anything that people do too much of, they don't have their hit catchphrases, this and that. There's only go but so far. It just depends if someone has a vibrant personality and the stuff they're putting out there is good. Sometimes I look at these food places and I just like, this is kind of questionable. Is that? I think the best restaurants and certain stuff so people cook with passion. They're not cooking necessarily for profit. I mean, they are making profit, but they always don't miss on quality. Like in a sense, they don't. Everything is like good from start to end. And someone had asked me, do I think that certain places is good, like Olive Garden? Olive Garden does not make good Italian food. It's laughable. It's overpriced. And I just really don't care for it. Like, that's the worst Italian food to a certain extent, to a certain degree. For the money, taste wise, just, I don't know. It tastes like butter. I feel like sometimes the best Italian restaurants, or best restaurants, in my opinion, they got good chefs in there. Like, you don't necessarily know what to expect because all the food good. And some of them don't have a menu. They just cook whatever is in store for the day, whatever they get from like a market or a place. They cook that up and they serve it. But the stuff has always consistently been good.
I needed some.
I was watching this video on how this black man had said that, how Bernard Arnault, the CEO of LVMH, has made his money, and he said it was by black people buying up all the stuff from Louis Vuitton and all this type of stuff, which I do agree to a certain extent. It's true, but the one thing about it is that I feel like, in a sense, too people focus on consumerism, in a sense, and they're not saving their money. But I think there's nothing wrong with, in a sense, um, people learn the hard way, in a sense, about, making some bad purchases here, making some bad purchases there. Money's meant to be spent, but also to you just have to be, in a sense, better with your money, I guess. I think another thing that's cool is like a lot of stuff really isn't financial literacy in a sense. Like if someone had to ask you what's my definition of financial literacy, it's being smart with your money, managing your money, and also saving money for a rainy day, and have retirement accounts. Keep your standard of living low. I don't even know where that clown went to. I'm not gonna worry about him. So I'm running the opposite direction of the storm. To a certain degree, I am. I want to go this way. But yeah. Well, yeah, I think a lot of stuff, financial literacy is a topic of discussion for a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff is not financial literacy if you think about it. Like I know people are saying to buy a home in like 2024 because the interest rates would have then subsided. Now you could probably get a better bargain for a house around that time, and then you move on from there. So buying a house today, you kind of set yourself back. Getting the best buy, and then interest rate. But yeah, I don't think a lot of stuff is financial literacy. Consumerism and certain stuff is good and it's bad. I'll play like one more after this. I'm about tired. I really don't feel like I played trash, but yeah. That made no sense. After that, y'all, I'm out. Well, I'll play one more for y'all. I'll play one more. We gonna get to it. That was some bull in the game. Ended like that, but it is what it is. We'll go back. $15 per hour is, yeah. 31,000. I didn't need to even Google that. That's $31,200 before taxes. That is not a lot of money. And by doing that, that's essentially wasting your time. It just depends. You can't build off that. You can't have no family off that. You definitely cannot travel off that. And then too, I know people talk about, people have to make six figures. I think six figures is easily doable. But then again, you think about certain things like, keeping that money and saving that money for a rainy day. I remember someone was talking to me about this, that, and the third, Honestly speaking, I think, putting money in a Roth IRA and your own, or funding your own retirement account is probably the best thing for it. Like, you put like $50 a week into your own retirement account, like I got a whole thing of how I'm thinking, and this, that, and the third, they make a lot of sense. I'll possibly read it after the end of this game. I'll play another one, maybe just one more. It's like what? Yeah, 11:30. I'll play 12, I guess, more or less. But like, yeah, I said 40% of your money, the more money you make, is pretty much going to taxes. Essentially, 40% of your money is going to taxes. 25%, needs to go to some type of retirement. 17% needs to go to basically some type of, I say, savings, retirement, and like investing. You split it up, like you do 10%, to your savings, 3.5% to some type of investing, and then the other stuff can go to some type of other stuff. The other 17, you do a whole lot of other things with it though. Wow. That was a bull. And I had such a great game. That was a bull. But while I'm waiting, I'll give you my note about money. 40% goes definitely taxes. 25%. That's basically your savings, your retirement, such you get. You put that away. In a sense, that go towards your retirement. I'll possibly say 8% that go to your retirement, but your savings, 17% can go towards, your little bit of spending money. Like, you can possibly put like 10% spending, 7% you still save. The other 17%, you pretty much, how do I put it this way? It definitely don't invest in real estate, to a certain extent, unless it's just land. I'll possibly say, some more stuff like mutual funds or something like that. And then the other 1%, that can just be miscellaneous. But if you already have a certain amount of money, this, that, and the third, you just live off of compound interest, this, that, and the third, or get some type of high yields. I'll I would say high yields bonds or something like that. You can probably do something like that, or don't do nothing high risk, high reward. Do something low risk, and you can see your money grow or something like that. But definitely do not spend money on things that do not make that much sense. Now, if I think about like a chicken place, like a chicken spot, or something like that, certain places do not seem like businesses, but yeah, they are. Like a chicken spot, like a fried chicken spot. There's nothing that special about like a Zaxby's. You have the freedom of choice, or Raising Cane's. There's nothing special about those restaurants, but they have franchises, and people pay franchisee fees and certain stuff like that. Um, I'm gonna leave this one because this doesn't seem like a great plan. But like, yeah, people go there for particularly chicken, and the return might be decent to a certain extent. Like I don't know how much money, for instance, a potential Zaxby's might run from just owning it. People can do well owning a McDonald's, owning a few McDonald's, or this, that, and the third. But I me personally, I could care less about McDonald's. McDonald's is trash in my opinion. McDonald's doesn't make good food. Like, I'm not gonna say 100% go in for McDonald's like that, but the only thing I go to McDonald's for is soft drink and the French fries. Anything past that, it's not necessarily it's edible, but is it good? Nah. I know people say it takes a lot of money like to cook or eat. To me, I think, health is wealth. If you don't treat your own body right and put the right type of foods, there's no point. I was watching this guy. He was basically saying that people don't treat themselves well, and just in a sense, everything that they do, in a sense, for the pursuit of money, is actually costing them time, their health, and their well-being. Which I can agree. Like you work and clock in 40 hours or something like that, going out with coworkers, drinking and eating greasy foods, this, that, and the third, and slowly but surely, you realize, the 365 is pretty much gone by, and there's not much to change in a sense. People's health can decline from drinking, and then they gain a lot of weight from going out and eating this, that, and the third, instead of eating food of convenience. Like Wendy's and fast food is not good food, man. Like a cheeseburger, I like cheeseburgers every now and again, but I don't know. If I had my way, I would eat a whole lot more foods. Believe it or not. But it'll be protein filled foods like lamb. Let's see. I definitely eat lamb. I definitely eat chicken. I'll eat steak. Let's see. What else would I eat? I'll eat rice. I'll eat fish. I can eat salmon. I can eat fish. I can eat mackerel. I'll definitely eat good stuff. To me, a lot of this stuff really matters in the sense of what you put inside your body. I watched this guy. He's kind of a bodybuilder. I disagree with what he's spending his money on to a certain extent. I didn't even see that guy. That makes no sense. I'll play one more after this, and I'll possibly try to choose a okay landing spot. But yeah, it's not necessarily good. Like, he spent money on a diamond bedazzled AP. You say he spent $60,000 on that. That watch in itself is not worth no $60,000. That's just idiotic. An AP in itself is like $20,000, and someone added diamonds onto that. That's like probably $15,000 worth of diamonds and setting it. So they made like $25,000 off that, off the dude. That's not the flex he thinks it is, but it's just terrible. It's just terrible. It's not necessarily balling either. A lot of stuff to me is not financial literacy either. It's not. Because again, when you think about certain stuff, I can say, honestly speaking, if we think about certain stuff, I say if you can't get at least with certain things, I'm going to say conservatively 85% of your money back, you already done lost. Some things it might take a haircut, but if you can't at least get 85% of your money back, nah, that's not a good investment at all. That is not a good investment or a good buy at all. Like a car, you automatically know you're going to lose money on that. A watch, someone probably like, why is a watch so expensive? Or this and there's it's because of mechanics. You gotta think about there's certain tiers of like watchmaking if you really think about it. Like, I'd say it's name, brand. If there's a market at all, and even if there's a secondary market for something, like, same thing with cars. If there's even a secondary market, like, there's probably, cars from the 80s people think are good or certain stuff like that, or 70s. People might be looking for, might be a collectible item, this, that, and the third, but some people might make money on it. But again, some of these cars and stuff need work. Who would spend, $40,000 to fix a, I don't know, let's say a Model T, or let's say a Ford Pinto? That's not necessarily a collectible car because that car can explode. Not making any sense. People used to get blown up because they got hit. Their car got hit from behind because the gas tank was on the behind the car, and if people got in an accident, it would explode. So you can search that up. That's a fact. My professor told me that, and I start dying laughing. That's not funny when you think about it, because people are actually dying from a manufacturing defect from these cars. I'll play one more. That was just bull. That land was bull. But I get to what I'm saying, get to the point. Yeah. A lot of stuff is not necessarily a financially literate thing. You shouldn't pay more money for something if you don't understand the purchase and exactly what it is. It is not necessarily with watches, not necessarily with it's with anything really. If you don't understand the shopping people, or the market, if there's even a market at all for it, then that doesn't really make that much sense. Like I said, if you can't get 85% of your money back, then you pretty much lost. Like with a car, you pretty much lost some money already. You know, the car, you got to think about maintenance and upkeep. And then again, every company, like even Ferrari, this, that, and the third, they don't make their cars necessarily perfect. There's people with cars. I watched a dude from London. He said the panels and certain stuff, like the little buttons on the steering wheel, they were sticky, they didn't work, and he had performance issues with the car. He had the Ferrari California T. I think that's like $217,000 right now, if my memory serves me correctly, with the price for that. Wow. I took a haircut. It's like $100,000 now, like 170, around 160, but still, just showing you how bad this stuff is definitely being valued. So yeah, you pretty much put money in something like that, you pretty much guaranteed to lose money. And buying a new car. The only people who made money is the people who sold your car. I understand car dealers in a sense, but sometimes you have to shop people. That's with anybody, really. You have to shop people. But, yeah. Once you do that, you know, you have to make a choice. But it's up to you, really. I was still thinking about someone said that this particular watch brand is good. It's not. Roger Dubuis. They don't make necessarily good-looking watches. Too, their watches lose a lot of money, like a lot of its value. I know someone said that that's that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it is a bad thing for your bottom line. The goal is something that's not to buy certain stuff. It's expensive. Why would you buy a $50,000 watch? And in a moment that you walk outside that boutique, or this, that, and the third, that's worth $15,000. Like you can go on your phone right now and you can search up Roger Dubuis Excalibur. That thing retails like $50,000, depending on the one you look at, and it goes for $15,000. So that's a pretty bad. You're definitely taking a hit when you buy that. And what's another watch in a sense that's not necessarily good price wise? I can tell someone another one. It's Blanc Pine. They're this Swiss watch company that they went bankrupt in like 1963, if my memory serves me correctly. guy's an idiot. I did all that. He still didn't kill me. But yeah. Blanc Ponder, this watch is like called the 50 Fathoms. Junk is like $50,000 retail. And the watch itself is worth, I would say, $23,000 max, because there's not really a market for it. Hublot is just they don't keep their value at all. It's Hublot. It's not to say that Hublot does not make some okay watches. It's just they're overpriced for what it's worth. But yeah, I still want to say that Richard Mille makes good watches. I mean, not everyone's watches are a hit, in my opinion, but they're, for what it's worth, it's a hot market, this, that, and the third. There's other watches in a sense that are like, you know, smaller, but have the same type of premium, if you will, or if not more. I know someone said that the most expensive watch was like the thing called the Graph Hallucination. That watch is like $40 million or something like that, or $55 million. One of those two. I think it's $55 million. It looks terrible because it's not necessarily a watch. It has like diamonds, all this type of stuff on it. And it's really meant to be worn as a jewelry piece. And then the watch is like an accessory part of it. Like you can wear it as a bracelet. Same thing with Harry Winston. Harry Winston does not make good watches, in my opinion. They don't. Because it's not meant to be worn. It's just meant to be a jewelry accessory and worn by somebody at a red carpet. It's just not good. Yeah. There's also just not good financial purchases. But yeah, a lot of stuff is not a financially illiterate purchase. You have to realize for what it's worth. There's not a market for it, and you don't know the market, or you know what I'm saying. You didn't make a little bit of profit, at least. Yeah, you done lost. Or you bought something too high or whatnot. And you really didn't think, yeah, you lost big time. I'm trying to look for somebody. That's what I'm doing. I realize I have no heals. At least no mats. I don't have no shields as them slap juices, but what's a slap juice? Right after this stream, I'll put that link in the description where the dude was talking about his path to jewelry, and he was making 60,000. He was doing other stuff. He had his shoe. He had his He was selling shoes. He cut hair. He would sell like little $200 watches. You take the bezel. I take the face of the watch off and then put a new dial or something in it. It was going from there. Then some like sterling gold plated jewelry, and went from there. Jewel of Wisdom. Wow. Well, guys, enjoy it, man. We out. Peace.